I hate the self-awareness. I thought I would like it. I thought it would make everything okay. I'm like I'm frothing at the mouth. All's fair in love and jingle jangling, right? And let me tell you, my jangle was jingling. It was jingling all over that stage. Hey, thanks for clicking on the video. My name is Kaylee, and this is Read, Rant, Review, where, you guessed it, I read books and I do rant reviews. Today, can you tell this is going to be a good one? Today we're talking about How My Neighbor Stole Christmas by Meghan Quinn. This was like Amazon's #1 top seller 2 weeks ago. I'm filming this on December 9th. And it's still in the top of the Amazon seller lists. It was published on October 15th of this year, 2024, and it is currently sitting at a 3.91 on Goodreads with 48,000 ratings. Oh my God. I'm trying to get into the holiday spirit. I don't know about you. It does not feel like winter. It doesn't feel like December. I don't know. I hate it here. So I'm trying to be festive and I'm trying to read these like holiday books. This was a doozy, dude. This was a lot. 480 fucking pages of a self-aware miscommunication trope Hallmark movie. Like, the book uses the term miscommunication trope. There's a narrator in the book who is labeled as narrator. Also, just for context of how ridiculous it is, nipples. It said 43 times, and like 40 of those aren't even in like a literal context. Like, they're just in like a I'm freezing my nipples off context. I'm excited to talk to you about this. This book was something else. Was it bad? No, it wasn't bad. It was just dumb, maybe would be the word that I would use. The book was over the top, but it was self-aware about being over the top in a way that equal parts drove me crazy, but also made me laugh my ass off. So I can't hate it. It truly is just a Hallmark movie written as a book. It is so funny in that regard, but the miscommunication trope, the entire fucking book, it is 480 pages of miscommunication trope. Turns out I actually hate that more than insta love. And if you've watched any of my other videos, you know how much I fucking hate insta love. I was losing my goddamn mind. Before we get started into the book, I just want to give the same 3 disclaimers that I always do for these types of reviews. The first disclaimer being, this review will contain all the spoilers. This is going to be a beat-by-beat, chapter-by-chapter breakdown of this book, so if you actually want to read it, I'll catch you on the next one. The second disclaimer being that this review is going to be more of a critique. You know what I mean? I'll be making fun of it. I will give credit where credit is due, but for the most part, it's just me talking crap and having a good time. So this review is not for the author. It's not for family, friends, fans, stans, anything like that. We're just here having a good time. And then the third disclaimer is usually a content or trigger warning. And really, for the most part, this is a pretty upbeat, happy, fun time Hallmark movie book. The only disclaimer that I would like to give is the main male character. His parents had passed away when he was 18, and so much of this book is talking about the grief associated with parental loss and coping with that and moving on and coming to terms with this grief and how to deal with it. So that is a heavy topic that is discussed throughout the entirety of this book. So just warning there. And then otherwise, it's not bad. Like, genuinely, there's really just happy fun time. We'll set the scene with the prologue. This is from the narrator, okay? The narrator has a little poem, a little ditty, if you will, before every chapter. And this is how they all... I'm so excited to read this to you. Prologue. Every Kringle in Kringletown celebrated Christmas a lot, but Cole Black on Whistle Lane, unfortunately did not. Cole became a recluse during the Kringle Christmas season. No one knew why. No one could quite give a reason. Martha said it was because he was alone and very single. May said it was because he was never named the town Kringle. But to me, the true reason is a story far too sad. At the age of 18, it's sad. He lost both his mom and dad. Whatever the reason, his loss or his status of being single, he spent Christmas in the dark, hating the cheery people of Kringle. From his window he would stare with a crinkle of a frown at the wreaths and the lights spread all throughout town. They would sing, they would smile, they would offer him a wave. All the while, he would scowl from atop his dim, dreary cave. For him, no decorations, no cookies, no little boy drumming. For December 1st was tomorrow, and he knew what was coming. The town would awake, the snow lightly packed in rows, the baubles would shine, there'd be lots of bows. Because just around the corner, the bells would soon jingle, announcing the start of who's named the town Kringle. Coal Black had no interest, not a lick nor a care. Why would he take part in such an asinine affair? His motto until a shift with the wind on one blustery day. From his window he peered at the commotion over the fence. The sight of a familiar redhead made his soulless heart grow tense. What is she doing here? There has to be a reason. She can't possibly be here for the entire Christmas season. But her bags were stacked high in the middle of the driveway, were a red flag waving, announcing a very long vacay. But why? It's been years, exactly 10 to be fair, since she strutted down with her deep red hair. No, he must find out. He must stop her a visit right now. She can't stay here, not for Christmas. He must stop it. But how? Okay, so I was like, oh, wow, okay. That's a lot to take in. But then chapter 1, Story, the opening sentence from Story is, you never truly get over the first pucker of your nips when the mountain air hits you. I'm not kidding. And it was in this moment that I knew that by the end of this, I would be black and blue. Okay, I'm going to have to keep it together. I don't know how I'm going to do this, guys. So, pull my laptop over. Oh, I didn't even turn my light on. Oh my god. Hey. I said, Jesus Christ, LMAO. We open with the Taylor sisters. Story, Storee, is the main female character in this book, and her sister Taryn. They're sisters who are moving in with their great aunt Cindy into Kringletown after Aunt Cindy fell and broke her hip. They give a little bit more context. This is Kringletown. Well, just Kringle if you're local. The most highly elevated Christmas town in the country. Year-round, instrumental Christmas music plays from speakers strategically placed along the main streets. Light post decorations are only switched out for a different style every month, but never stray from the classic red, green, and gold hues of the jolly holiday. Twinkle lights are never taken down. Hot chocolate never stops being pumped into visitors, and you can't walk down the street without being told at least twice that Santa is always watching. So Story and Taryn grew up visiting Kringle to see their Aunt Cindy. She's their great aunt, but they just call her Aunt Cindy. Every Christmas, but they stopped when Story was 18 after a tragically embarrassing event that we learn later. Story never went back, and then Taryn started nursing school, so she got busy and just never came back, and then their parents ended up buying a timeshare in Cancun. So that's where they spend their holidays, so they don't ever make it back either. So they just completely up and stopped coming to this town a decade ago. This is the first time that the sisters are back in 10 years. They get there, but Aunt Cindy's not at the house. She's next door with the neighbors. They're twins. They're just super old nosy ladies. They're not really super relevant to the story, but by God, nobody's really relevant in this story. It's just 480 pages of filler. Again, I feel like this was written to be a movie. You know what I'm saying? So there's just a lot of extra stuff that wouldn't necessarily be good for us, but would be if this was a screenplay. So she's next door visiting the... I guess I'm not going to have a light today. So she's next door visiting the twins who had been taking care of her after she broke her hip, until the girls got there. So they go to their rooms. They argue about who gets what room. Now that I'm looking back at these notes, none of this really matters. There's a lot of argument between Story and Taryn that builds a lot of tension between the sisters. They're not super, super close. Story is very frustrated with Taryn because she's kind of uptight and she's a nurse and she's very dedicated to her job. And she decides that she's going to stay in Kringle to take care of Aunt Cindy because she's a nurse and has the experience and the knowledge to do so, and she doesn't trust Story to be able to do that. And then Story has to stay there to help Taryn and blah, blah, blah. We'll get to it in a minute. And then Story, what does she do for a living? She's an editor for Lovemark movies. Hallmark is copywritten, so we use the term Lovemark. So she's an editor for those movies. Chapter 2 opens with another narrator piece. It truly is a great summary of what is going on in the book. It is a very great summary of the chapter, and if anything, I applaud the commitment. Meghan really did commit to the bit, and I respect the shit out of it, so I will share that wholeheartedly. Chapter 2 opens. Snow from the night before glistens across the bitter ground, while news of the sisters' arrival spreads all throughout town. The gossip is crisp, the excitement oh so thick, while Cole stomps around as a very unhappy dick. I'm recovering from a cold, so I'm gonna cough a lot and probably sniffle. I'm sorry, I'll edit out what I can, but it might You might catch some of them. So in chapter 2, we meet Cole. Cole and Max is his best friend. They work on Evergreen Farm. Evergreen Farm is Kringletown's pride and joy. Well, one of them. Known as the highest incorporated town in the country, sitting at 10,522 feet, Kringle is a year-round Christmas town. Yup, we celebrate Christmas year-round. The holly jolly music never ceases. The twinkle lights never turn off. And Santa, aka Bob Krampus, never stops ho-ho-hoing from his house at the top of Ornament Park, also known as the Town Park, which is in the shape of a bulb ornament. The Bavarian-style buildings that line Ornament Avenue, Krampus Court, and Route 25 are continuously adorned with wreaths, lights, and freshly fluffed garland. The Christmas stalls behind the Mirthcantile, instead of like mercantile, like a store, it's Mirthcantile, are always open, offering the latest in homemade crafts for those looking for that unique gift for the holiday season. Evergreen Farm, owned by the Maxheimers, Max's family, is always running. During the summer, it's tree planting, paintball, and live bands, an animal farm that teaches respect for all animals. During the holiday season, it's tree cutting, ice skating, sleigh rides, powered by electric snowmobiles. S'mores are on many campfires, gingerbread baking classes, and every vendor of this side of the Rocky Mountains is looking to grow their business. As for me, I hide out in here, the reindeer barn. See, saying I hide out here in the reindeer barn is such like we're breaking the fourth wall so fucking hard. It is crazy. As for me, I hide out here in the reindeer barn where I can take care of the Maxheimers' precious and very famous reindeer. I don't mind the smell, I don't mind the snorts or the shaking of antlers, even the wet snouts looking for snacks in my pocket. I like solitude. I like the hard labor of shoveling reindeer shit into a wheelbarrow. And if I'm going to be truly honest, I like the sound of their clomping hooves. Max's family took Cole in after his parents died when he was 18. As we learned from the prologue, his parents were in a car accident and he was left their house. And so he still lives in the same house he grew up in. Pretty much was adopted by Max's family though. And he celebrates all the holidays and visits them. And he's basically a fourth son to that family. Cole and Max are working on the farm and Max is giving him a hard time. He's like, hey, Cole, did you hear that Story's back in town? I know you had a crush on her, when we were growing up. She was the little cutie next door to you. Yeah, they're neighbors. He's like, yeah, I know you always had a crush on her. She's back now. Are you going to pursue it? Cole's immediate reaction is disgust. He's like, no, I don't even know why she's here. She's so annoying. I would never do that. I can't believe that you would even think such a thing. Blah, 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 blah. She sucks, right? She's just bad news. He goes on this whole thing about how she's bad news. The Story sisters are just here to ruin town and ruin the holiday or something. After this conversation and after he's done working, he goes to get lunch in town at his favorite sandwich shop. And he's getting a chicken parm. So don't you worry. It does come back around. And of course, while he's there, Story Taylor walks in because I'll just read you the excerpt that I have highlighted. I knew it was wishful thinking that I wasn't going to have an interaction with her given the size of this town, but on the first fucking day, what kind of disturbing sycophant would create such chaos? If it were me writing the story, I would have given it at least a week of built-up tension and anticipation. Seems like the person in charge doesn't know what the hell they're doing. When her eyes meet mine, she smiles softly and blah, blah, blah. They're having this back and forth, and she starts calling him the wrong name. She refers to him as Connor just to with him, and it pisses him off. And so he's all angry, and she's like, oh, sorry, I thought we were joking. I was just having fun with you. Obviously, I know your name's Cole. And he's just being short and snippy and a douchebag to her. And she's like, I don't know what I did. I feel really awkward. When she feels awkward, she yaps. Same, bestie. So she keeps trying to talk to him, and he keeps blowing her off until the point that he just leaves. He just abandons his chicken parm and goes. We open with chapter 3. Cole tried, he truly did. He attempted to keep his poise, but how could he with her? All that noise. She was very unpleasant. He couldn't stand her in the least, especially after the way she took away his chicken parm feast. The story in chapter 3 is thinking about how cute Cole is, how handsome of a man that he has grown up to be when Aunt Cindy comes back over from the twins' house finally and says, we spent all morning. I don't know what an old lady voice would be. We spent all morning. It's not that. That's too much, but I need a... we spent all morning. So Aunt Cindy comes back from the twins' house and says, we spent all morning watching YouTube videos of some naughty Thunder Down Under men dressed in Santa costumes, thrusting their way around Santa's workshop. Had no idea it was the twins' December 1st tradition, but it sure did put some color in my cheeks. And then the twins are like talking about who their favorite Thunder from Down Under men were, which I didn't know what that was, and I made the mistake of Googling it. It's basically Chippendales, but like the Australian version. If you don't know what Chippendales is, it's like just a show of a bunch of jacked men with six-packs that are shirtless and dance on a stage. So this 90-year-old woman and her little friends were thirsting over these men. The twins leave, the girls are all sitting down for dinner, and it's Cindy, Taryn, and Story. And Aunt Cindy finally reveals the real reason that she has the girls there. Obviously, she broke her hip. Yes, so that's why Taryn needs to be there. But now Aunt Cindy reveals why she wants Story to be there. For the last few years, I've taken part in the Christmas Kringle contest, a contest that the town puts on every year, where we name who's the most Christmassy of them all. And for the last few years, I've come in second, meaning I haven't earned the title of the Christmas Kringle. The second place is better than last. The second place is a loss. And last year, after I took second again, I decided I was going to step up my game. And so she's like, oh, that's great. You know, Aunt Cindy, like, you can take a year off and really, like, get it together and get a good game plan. And she says, no, Story, I can't take a year off. You're going to do it for me. I already submitted your application packet to be in the Kringle contest. And yeah, we're gonna do it. We're gonna get the Christmas spirit back in this house. No choices to be had. The sisters are talking later, and Story expresses her concern about this competition, that it requires performing, and she's just like, I can't do it again. I can't perform in front of people, not after being humiliated in front of the town. And the last 42 pages, I was led to believe that this was some horribly tragic thing, right? It is presented in such a way that is like, oh my God, like she really like faced some trauma, like something insane happened. And she says instead, I'm still clumsy, and the town knows it. They don't ever forget anything. They didn't forget about the hot chocolate shortage of 2012. They didn't let me live down the signature tree tipping over the baubles and wrappings, and they most definitely will never forget about Mrs. Fisker's being knocked into the river. And they had to treat her for hypothermia. She was doing some performance, accidentally knocked over a tree that then knocked over a lady who fell into the river, and it turned into like a whole search and rescue thing. Like they had to call like an EMTs, like the fire department, to help get her out of the river. Chapter 4 then opens with Cole and the narrator's little description. Christmas Kringle, no thank you. She was still scared. I don't think I could do this, she constantly declared. Her name was in the ring, for it was a Kringle Town honor. And guess who totally noticed? The grumpy Cole Connor. And so then it has this back and forth between Cole and the narrator. Okay, if I'm going to sit back and watch this story unfold, the least I can do is set you straight. It's just Cole, no Connor involved. Yes, but Connor rhymed with honor. It worked better. You're giving readers the wrong impression. Would you have preferred if I found a way to rhyme Cole with asshole? Never mind. That's what I thought. You focus on your part, and I'll handle the narrating. Now back to the story. We do learn about what the Kringle competition is. A few years back, the proprietors of the town gathered with their Christmas cups full of mulled cider, called in the honorary mayor, Bob Krampus, and came up with the idea to start the Kringle competition as a way to draw in even more people from out of town. Throughout the month, those who entered the competition have certain tasks and mini tests that they're graded on, and then all of those scores are accumulated to see who is the merriest of them all. That's the person named Town Kringle, a totally pointless title they get to lord over the rest of us year long. When it was introduced, everyone was beside themselves to the point that they limited it to 1 entry per household, and each competition goes hand in hand with one of the proprietors in town acting as a judge. For example, Old Man Chadwick, who owns the candy shop in town, gets to judge handmade candy canes. People down on their candy cane making abilities gather some advertising for his own store as he boasts about his being better, and points are awarded to the participants. This way, the businesses in town are offered some sponsorship and advertisement while keeping the competitive spirit alive. The whole thing is stupid. I've never entered and I have zero plans to enter. But the people of Kringle, they think differently. To them, it's the greatest honor of them all. To them, this is what the year built up to. For the entire month of December, it's all they ever talk about. So him not entering didn't last very long because Max tells him about Story entering and his entire tone changes. She doesn't deserve to win. She shouldn't even be in the competition. She's not part of the town. She doesn't live here. She doesn't even like it here. Yeah, she told me that to my face. She said she hates this town. She called it stupid. She said that? When? Doesn't matter. No, clearly it does because you're angry about it. When did she say that to you? It was the night my parents passed. What? You never even told me that. What did she say? I just found out about the accident. I didn't know any details, and I was sitting on my porch waiting for more news when she was walking down the street. This was after Mrs. Fiskers was dumped in the river. Anyway, Story spotted me and joined me on the porch. It was a common place for us to gather and talk. At that point, we knew each other well enough for me to realize she was upset. So I asked her what was wrong, trying to get my mind off of what had happened to my parents. Well, that was a huge goddamn mistake because she went on a tirade about the town. How Christmas year-round thing was stupid, the stores were annoyingly cheesy, and she hated coming here to visit. Just basically shit on everything about Kringle. No holding back, she just went for it. Jesus, what did you say? Nothing. I said nothing because how could I? I was just so lost, thinking how could my parents have been in an accident together? How was I going to live without them if they died? She didn't know about the accident, so part of me can forgive what she said because of that. But in that moment, when I was simply gutted, well, she left on fucking Christmas of all days. And she didn't see how the town rallied behind me when it was confirmed that my parents hadn't survived. This town has its annoyances and it can be tough to live in at times, but the things she said about it weren't true. They angered me, and my grief is wrapped up in that too. I'm still here because of how this town picked me up when I was at my lowest and how it looks after its own. So, I went... The entire premise of this book is a miscommunication trope because he didn't tell her that his parents died. He has never told her that his parents died, let alone died that night. He never told her that. So he has just had this anger festering in his heart about this situation for 10 fucking years. And that's why he's being such a dick to her. It makes no sense. And so he, again, like I was saying, he decides that he's going to run to be the Christmas Kringle and that he'll kick her ass and that'll make everything okay. Max is like, do you hear what you're saying? I do. I've never been surer of anything in my life. If Story wants to pretend like she's a part of this town, like this town means something to her, then she's going to have to go up against me. If anything, this town means more to me than anyone else living here. I might bitch about it during this time of year, but I have some dark history considering this month in particular. But maybe this is something I need. Cole, man, they would have loved seeing me do this. My dad would have cackled his ass off while my mom would have been my holly jolly sidekick. I hate this time of year, and don't get me wrong, I'm grateful to you and your family for adopting me as one of theirs, but then when my parents passed, they took away all the magic with them. I understand, man. Fine, I'll do it. Meaning Max will be his holly jolly sidekick for the competition. And it's cute, and there's expression, and it's man-to-man being open about our feelings. And I love that. I love that we're acknowledging these things and supporting our friends. And so we have these like very mature acknowledgments of feelings and emotions and these like very complex conversations of grief. And then it goes into nonsense. The whiplash that I had in this book was insane. The other thing that pissed me off is that the chapters themselves go back and forth between the POVs. Into chapter 5, Aunt Cindy is giving Story the rundown about the competition, saying that she does hope that this ignites something in Story, that she really feels like she has lost her spark for life and like her motivation and passion and stuff like that. And Story reflects on this and realizing that her life really has been sort of slipping by. Like she's become complacent. She's more of a hermit now. She lives in LA and she really just edits and stays home all the time. She doesn't really go out with friends anymore. She doesn't do much at all. And like her best friend is her fern named Alexander. Yeah, or her ficus named Alexander. So the people of Kringle all gathered round. The twinkling lights shimmered and snow fell to the ground. Bob Krampus in the center with a smile and a list of all contestants held tightly in his fist. What a wonderful time, the start of a very joyful season, but Cole and Max were there only for one specific reason. In chapter 6, everybody's gathering at Ornament Park and Bob, announces the competitors. So Jimmy Short, representing the Short family, please come up here. Ursula Cronk, representing our first responders and our reigning Kringle from last year. Dr. Pedigree, representing our furry animals. And a new entry this year, Cole Black, representing Santa's reindeer. And lastly, we have Story Taylor, representing Aunt Cindy. Now, I might be playing favorites when it comes to our beloved Cindy Lewis. Cindy Lou. Can everyone give her an applause? And Story, please join us on stage. Don't worry, no one is near a river for you to knock them into. So they're up on the stage together, kind of talking back and forth, and it's mostly Max and Story. This is the first time that they have met. So they're kind of talking crap about Cole in front of his face, and there's banter, and there's argument and kind of bickering. It's not even tension, like, it's not even good tension. It's just like pissy, petulant, childish bullshit. It irritates me so much considering they're literally my age. Santa, Bob Krampus, goes on to explain the competition, saying, "We'll be testing these brave souls on their Christmas prowess. Can they rival the eggnog of Prancer's libations? Can they cut a candy cane as well as Jefferson Chadwick? Are they able to dazzle Tanya over at Warm Your Spirits with their take on fruitcake? Will they blind us with their brilliant light display or tap right into our hearts with their rendition of their favorite Christmas song? Only time will tell, but over the course of the next few weeks leading up to Christmas Eve, these brave souls will be taking part in a series of competitions that will determine if they really have what it takes to be the next Christmas Kringle. We'll be keeping track of their progress up on the leaderboard next to my house. So this is crazy. It's cute, okay? This is cute. I like the premise. I like the premise that we're going into with the book. I think this is like adorable, right? I'm not gonna lie. I'm a sucker for love. I'm a sucker for a little hometown stuff. So they go over to Bob Krampus's house after the fact to get more detailed rules about the competition. They get like a whole packet of do's and don'ts, and then they're able to ask questions and discuss back and forth. There's some chatter, and then at the end of it, "Thank you," Story says. I can see the twinkle in their eyes, the appreciation in her stare, and this is exactly what I was afraid of. She's putting on a show for the people of this town who don't even know the truth. She's gonna walk around Kringle with her gold fucking sash draped over her shoulder, announcing her bid for the town's most sought-after Christmas honor. And people are gonna be so thrilled, so pleased, so over fucking joyed that she's here to help Cindy that they won't even see what's truly going on. She doesn't care about them. She made that clear 10 years ago. She's just a con artist. Yup, I said it, a con artist. What the fuck, bro? Hey, we're... Therapy. Please go. Where's this anger coming from, homie? They go to leave, and Max pretty much voluntold Cole to walk Story home because they're neighbors and it's dark out. And he's like, "I would rather crawl across broken ornaments." He's so fucking dramatic. So he walks her home. It's awkward. It's quiet. It's weird. Story keeps trying to make conversation with him because that's what she does when she feels awkward. So, I have a hard time being quiet when I'm next to someone I'm familiar with. Yes, I learned that when you drove me away from my sandwich. Drove you away from your sandwich? I remember it differently. Leaving was your choice. You were insufferable. Insufferable? That's a pretty strong word for such a small interaction. The word insufferable almost seems like it stems from you harboring some sort of distaste for me. Harboring distaste? What makes you think that? The fact you're being so rude. I'm always rude. You weren't rude when we were younger. Yeah, this entire back and forth. Whatever, this argument. And he just won't admit what his problem is at all. And then there's more talks about nipples and being cold. I don't know. We go into chapter 7. Shots have been fired. The tension is thick. Bob Krampus is oblivious. Just our charming Saint Nick. For preparations begin. The eggnog wars are up. Who will make the best eggy drink in a cup? Will it be Cole with his hazelnut rendition? Or will it be Story with her ginger addition? Frank and Thackeray. Yeah, Zachary with a TH. Thachary. Thackeray. Frank and Thackeray, our judges, will soon let us know on this beautiful, stormy day, all covered in snow. So as stated, we go into the first competition. It's the Eggnog Wars. It's pretty self-explanatory. It's an eggnog competition. Cindy came in second the year before, so Story is trying to talk her into letting her change the recipe. They end up running into each other at the grocery store buying ingredients, and there's just more repeated petulant child bullshit arguing and like jabs at each other that really doesn't do anything other than, I guess, like make us for a slow burn romance. I don't know. In chapter 8, everyone makes their way to the bar, but they're neighbors. So, of course, there's like weird immediate rivalry when they're both outside together. They're talking crap to each other when the two twins, like the nosy old ladies next door, they come over. He turns on the charm. He flirts with them. Once he walks away, each of the old ladies, like one on either of his arms, Cindy pulls Story aside and she's like, I picked up on that tension. What the was that about? What did you do? She's like, I didn't do anything. He just said I don't deserve to win and he's going to do whatever he can to win. And I'm not worried about him though. You should be. He's a very large threat. Why? He's not very personable. That display right there was all fake, and I'm sure the twins might have bought it, but not everyone will. It's not that. He's a large threat because this was the first Christmas he's participated in since his parents passed away. His parents passed away? A terrible car accident a decade ago. He inherited the house and worked at Evergreen Farm since. He's kept to himself, but he's relied on the town to get him through the tragedy. Not everyone likes him, but everyone has been rooting for him, which means they're going to favor him in the competition. Right? She had no idea his parents were dead. They decide that they have to step it up a notch, that if he's going to be competing and if all this stuff is going to be going on, that they're going to really have to dial it up, which essentially means that they're going to make Cindy look like she's dying. And they're going to talk about Aunt Cindy like she's literally on her deathbed and put like ghoulish makeup on her to like whiten out her features, and she's going to show up in a wheelchair instead of a walker, even though she can walk just fine, and all this other shit just to like play up the whole death thing and the good grand niece or whatever. So then we go on to the actual eggnog competition. Again, it's like pages upon pages of description of their drinks and of the interactions that they have at this bar. But really what we need to get out of this is the fact that Story gets first and then he gets second place, which he's super pissed off about because they used Cindy. Like Max and Cole looked at Cindy and they knew exactly what was going on, and so they're very frustrated that they're like essentially playing dirty to get these votes. And the chapter ends with, and I take it all in, revising my plan for total domination. We're not going to lose like this. Nope. If they're going to pull out all the tricks, so are we. Chapter 9. They thought they were so smart. They thought they were slick. But Cole thought up a reply, and he thought it up real quick. Dignity and merit were tossed out the window. He's a man seeking revenge, our dear Daddy Snow. Max calls him Daddy Snow, his best friend. He says, hey, you need to channel Daddy Snow, and maybe that'll like make people vote for you and like turn people on or whatever. It's like a reoccurring funny nickname that I try not to say because it's just so cringy that it makes me want to claw my eyes out, but yes. So chapter 9, Story and the girls are celebrating the victory, but Story's like, okay, like we need to buckle down. This is just the beginning. Cindy says, all right, and pulls out a board where she had, you know, the one meme, I'll put up a picture of it, but it's from Always Sunny, and he has like all the red tape or the red string to all the things. That's pretty much what she pulls out. She pulls out this entire scrapbook that she has of all of the competitors and all of the competitions and like what they're going to do and how they're going to game plan it. It gets pretty intense. And so the next competition is going to be like an upcycling contest where they have to recreate their favorite movie scene using recycled stuff. They decide that they're going to do a perfect recreation of Cindy's thing that she did last year. Oh, it's the Meet Me in St. Louis scene where Judy Garland is singing Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. But now Story's going to be the one singing it, but they're going to like wheel Aunt Cindy out to her and they'll sing to her and they'll go for the whole sympathy vote thing. So by reusing that, that'll get them bonus points. It's cute. It'll be sympathy votes. It'll be like a good time. So that's the plan going forward. We cut to Cole and Max has a great idea. I think we need to be more strategic about our approach. We need to start focusing not on just the competition, but on the judges. And so then he also pulls out his own freaking little binder of all these plans. He says this is a comprehensive guide to every judge and what they're judging and what they like and dislike. And so they go to sit down and look at this, and then we have another one of those like very deep whiplash moments. I take a seat next to him and settle into the lumpy couch from my childhood that I've never replaced. Actually, not a single thing in this house has been moved or shifted since I lost my parents. My childhood bedroom remains mine. The holly berry dishes my mom would pull out every Christmas Eve had accumulated dust on the shelves, and not a square inch of this house has seen any sort of Christmas spirit in a decade. I rarely sit in this room, so I haven't really noticed how bereft it is. Max smooths his hand over the couch's wrinkles. The key to winning the competition is not how many ways you can say season's greetings in the mercantile, but how you can edge out the competition with your knowledge of the judges. And so then they talk about the judge for the competition, and she too is a little horny old lady. Turns out like every single one of these women in this town are just these horny old women. Oh my god. Max's idea. Since we want to attack on all senses, I was thinking we act out a scene from The Grinch. Let me guess, you want me to be the Grinch? Unless you want to be Cindy Lou Who, up to you, he grins. I think you know the answer to that. Now back to my research about Sherry, the judge. She's a fan of dogs. One of her favorite movies is The Grinch, and most importantly, she is a secret fan of Thunder Down Under. Silence falls between us as I contemplate whether or not I need a new best friend, because I can see exactly where this is going. No. Oh, yes, he says as he removes the tissue paper from his suitcase, revealing a set of lederhosen, the same style that the Grinch wore in that Jim Carrey version. In chapter 10, the other Kringleys perform. I said, do we care? I don't. Story performs. It's beautiful, right? We're doing the whole Judy Garland thing. Everybody's crying, like not a dry eye in the house. And she's like, we're guaranteed to win. Like, this is going to be great. Until she goes to the back. I come to a halt right at the entrance of the warm tent as I take in the scene unfolding. Both Atlas is Max's real name. Like, his name is Atlas Maxheimer. And so Cole calls him Max, but then she calls him Atlas, and it's really confusing, and I don't know why we would do that. Is there some like Christmas movie reference that I'm missing? Why would we have literally two separate names for the same dude? I do not get it. Anyway, both Max and Cole are standing in front of me without coats and shirtless. Atlas is in a tiny pair of brown shorts, shoeless. His ripped chest and hard nipples on full display, along with his dog ears dangling over the side of his face. And then Cole. Oh my god, Cole. He looks unreal. Wearing a pair of brown lederhosen with red stitching, which I saw the other day in Antlers Antiques. His ripped yet green chest is on full display. Thick muscular pecs, trimmed chest hair, bulky shoulders, and carved arms. My god. And goes on to just like compliment this dude, just thirsting. Just thirsting over this man to an insane degree. Lastly, thinking the two of them together look like Christmas Chippendales, ready to strip down and give everyone a show, and I'm in the crowd, ready to watch. Oh my god, you fucking horny people. Cole is, understandably, he's like, hey, if we lose this, like, I'm literally firing you, dude. Like, this sucks. Like, I can't believe you're making me do this. And he says, trust me, this is gonna get us first place. Sherry's gonna lose her mind when she gets a hold of our bodacious bods. Can you not say dumb shit like that? It's true, though. Farm chores have done us a lot of good work. Get ready to be ogled. Okay, but I stand my ground on the hip thrusting. There will be no hip thrusting. Dude, we talked about this. You have to hip thrust at the end. You'll make her wet. Ew, Jesus fuck, man. I don't want to make a 70-year-old woman wet. Show some respect. I am. 70-year-olds deserve to be wet, too. Max's plan is simple. He put a spin on a Christmas classic. He mixed some audio on his computer to create the perfect soundtrack. Whatever. I'm not getting into the details of it. They go out there. Max goes first. The music drops. And then Cole, like, shows his leg through the curtains. Shows his leg. Everyone freaks out. Then he goes out there. Then they dance. He hip thrusts at the very end of the performance. Story might have pulled the crowd's heartstrings, but as Max put it, we pulled the judge's weakness. Sherry Conrad, one of the judges, a closet perv, can't resist a shirtless man, and we took advantage. If they're going to use cadaver Cindy, then we will use our bodies. All's fair in love and jingle jangling, right? And let me tell you, my jangle was jingling. It was jingling all over that stage. Oh, Jesus Christ. And chapter 11 opens with the following summary from the narrator. Cole hated Christmas. He hated the whole season. And like I said before, the town debated the reason. But last night his mood changed, and now in the season he trusts, all thanks to some green paint and one flamboyant pelvic thrust. The town is split. Some think it was Cole's lederhosen that took it all, but Martha says it was because Max's shorts were 2 sizes too small. I don't even know what I'm reading. I don't even know what I'm saying to you right now. I think I blacked out. Story's pissed about them like whoring themselves out for Christmas and how they it's not in Christmas spirit. Like, yeah, I used Aunt Cindy, but she's family. These guys are just being little whores. And she's super mad that they won. And then there's like this really weirdly inappropriate scene where Taryn and Story are confronting Aunt Cindy for being distracted during their planning of the next competition, and they ask if she was shocked by seeing the guys perform last night. What? And so the next competition is the light display. They give us points in 2 parts. First, your initial setup and idea, and then on Christmas Eve, they give you points for how you improve the display throughout the season, because as Christmas decorators, we're always tinkering with our masterpieces, so they want to see how well that we can add to the theme. She goes to the hardware store to go and get decorations, and she runs into Cole on the way there. There's more arguing back and forth. It doesn't really matter. It's just stupid and irritating and repetitive at this point. But they end up at the hardware store, and she decides that she's going to follow him around and kind of like stalk him to try and see what he's doing. He runs into the store worker, gives a little bit of like a wink wink nod nod to go along with him, and he starts lying about what he's going to do and how he's going to decorate to throw Story off, which involves saying like he's going to get a 50-foot blow up Santa Claus or reindeer or something, and then a whole bunch of these lights. So she hears this hot goss and she's like, oh my god, this is great, I have inside knowledge. Runs home to tell Aunt Cindy and Taryn, and Aunt Cindy and Taryn are like, you stupid B word. They throw the rule book to her, and blow ups like big inflatables like that are against competition rules, and so he was just messing with her. Taryn takes over the task. She's like, okay, well, I'll do the lights, don't worry about it. And she's very technical and very exact. Kind of as she's decorating, Cole comes over to talk to Story and Taryn and whatnot, and he says more stupid freaking talking crap back and forth to each other when the super nosy twins come over. They say, Merry Christmas, Story, what are you two up to? Martha asks as she wiggles her eyebrows. Before I can finish my thought, Cole wraps his arm around my shoulders and pulls me into his side. We're just hanging out, chatting it up about our light displays. Oh, how nice, May says. It's so great seeing you two back together. I remember watching you from a distance back when you'd sit on Cole's porch, chatting about holidays and sharing hot cocoa. I don't think we ever shared hot cocoa. Not for lack of me trying, Cole replies with a squeeze to my shoulder, and the twins laugh. After the twins leave, and Story's like, what the was that? He says, oh, that? I don't know. Spur of the moment decision. Kind of liked it though, as they love a good romance, and it gave them the impression that you were the one holding out and I was over here trying to get your attention. Yeah, I know. You just made me look bad. Yeah, but it made me look like the ultimate hopeless romantic, so win for me. Anyway, good luck with the lights, pal. I'm not your pal. I'm not your hot cocoa sharing buddy. I know, but Martha and May are pulling for me though, so maybe I'll prevail at the end of the competition. Who knows? Crazier things have happened. So we go into chapter 13, and it is the night of the light display judgment. Story is pissed about the interaction earlier and can very clearly see how lame their light display is, especially in comparison to Cole and Max's. And so she comes up with this bright idea to sabotage Cole's house. So she sneaks outside, she goes over there, sneaks through the snow, unscrews one of the bulbs, and only that string goes out. She, for some reason, thought that the entirety of the house would go out, but it's only that one string. And then she like screws it down just barely before it's able to turn back on. And then she tries to run away, slips and falls, literally falls directly into the fence, makes a loud crashing sound, and then scurries away. Not very sneaky, like very just a Hallmark movie cheesy stupid, right? Max and Cole hear the noise. They come outside. They see that one of the string lights is messed up. They're like, oh my god, what do we do? How do we fix this? They can't. They're in the midst of trying to figure out what went wrong when they see the judges coming down the road, and you're not supposed to be outside when the judges are judging your light thing, so they just have to go inside and take the L. But before they go inside, like as they're turning to go in the house, they look over and they see the little footsteps in the snow going back to Story's place. And they see the freaking, I don't know, the messed up snow thing from where she fell down at, so they know who it was. So after their house is judged, they go over there and confront her. So they bang on Story's door, and Taryn answers. They bypass Taryn, go like storm into the house, and they see Story sitting on the couch all bundled up in blankets and heated stuff, and her feet are in like a hot bowl of water. Very clearly guilty, very clearly caught. He starts to yell at them like in anger, and Max interrupts and he says, I think what he's trying to say is that he's disappointed in the conduct that has been going on between the two parties. The conduct? You're the one going around town telling people that I'm turning you down romantically. I said it once and it was a joke. Well, I guess this was a joke too. So you admit it. I admit nothing. If this is how you want to play the game, Story, I can play it like this. I think what he meant to say, Max clears his throat and steps in, was how about we all take a second to breathe and find a more productive way to create some positive chemistry between the two camps instead of continuing to rock the boat. No, I did not say that. I want to rock her boat. Oh, I'm sure you do, pervert. I don't want to rock your boat like that. You're the furthest thing from what I want to rock. Says the guy who wants to secretly date me. I'd rather date the hoof of one of my reindeer. Well, if we're being honest, Max says, you did crush on her when she came to visit back in the day. Jesus fuck, Max. Oh, is that right? You had a crush on me? Internally, yes. Terribly. Embarrassingly so. No, I say flatly. Well, it seems like your friend thinks differently. Max was mistaken. So let me get this straight, Stormy says. I come into town, and for some reason, unbeknownst to me, you have all this hatred after I thought we were friendly, and now I'm your mortal enemy and all you want is to beat me at a Christmas competition? Is this because you have a crush on me and don't know how to handle it? I feel my jaw grow more tense, my eyes narrow. I do not have a crush on you. That's the furthest from the truth, so get it out of your head. I don't believe you, and I don't really care. What I do care about is you trying to sabotage us, and if that's how you want to play it, then let it be known you started this war. And with that, I head out of the house, Max following. I don't shut the door behind us. Instead, I reach up to a strand of lights framing the front door and yank on it, sending the string to the welcome mat. A gasp sounds through the house, followed by a distraught Taryn. My display! She cries out. But I keep striding forward. They want to play dirty? Well, they have no idea how low I can go. In chapter 14, in regard to the light display, Cole got 4th place because of the whole technicality thing, because their one strand was out. So they decide that to get a leg up on the competition, that they're going to go to the next judge's shop in town. So they go to the diner. They see Taryn and Story are already there. They beat them to it. They're already ahead of the game and schmoozing. Cole gets the bright idea. He says, Max, follow my lead. Goes inside right next to Story. Gets all up in her grill. The diner owner is like, oh my God. Are you two a thing? And he's like, I'm trying to be. I really want to take Story on a date, but she just keeps turning me down. And he really leans into this whole hopeless romantic thing. He's the underdog. He's the hero that everyone is cheering for. And she's just this out-of-town girl from California turning him down and ruining his life and his chance at love and happiness. It ends with her saying, yeah, let's go on a date. And he says, what? Not expecting that. He totally forgot that night is Christmas, Valentine's. All of the kids stay at home or have babysitters or whatever, and then they decorate the streets to be this grown-up Valentine date night thing. It's a perfect night for them to go on the date. So begins a fake dating plot, because if they don't fake date, then she looks bad, and so she's kind of painted into a corner of dating him, and they can't really break it off because it helps get them extra points in the competition or something. Story goes home and she's getting ready for the date, and Taryn is like, hey, is this really a fake date? I know there was some yearning when we were kids. I know you always thought he was cute and you had a crush on him and stuff. Is this actually a fake date? And she's like, yeah, he's kind of a dick now. It's just a fake date. Sure. Chapter 15. I said, this chapter is so long and has no shit, 6 POV swaps. Cole goes to pick her up. She's beautiful. Aww. And so they go to the libations place, the one that dude and Thackeray own to go and get some hot cider to drink and keep warm while they go and look at some Christmas lights. And the bar's super packed, so it forces them to be in close quarters. And there's, I don't know, some like budding tension between them, but also they're still being like pissy and immature at each other. At the very end of the date, he goes to drop her off and they end up standing under a mistletoe. And then the two super nosy neighbors see them and they're like, oh my God, you guys have to kiss now. They do. But don't worry, he does ask for her consent at the last second. He like goes up to her face and a couple like inches away, centimeters away, whatever. And he's like, tell me no if you don't want this. And she doesn't. And then they kiss and it's romantic. And then they pull away and they stare lovingly into each other's eyes. And they realize that maybe there is some deep unresolved feelings from 10 years ago. The super nosy twin, she's like, I can see it all over your face. Oh, our little Cole finally finding someone. You better not break his heart, Missy. We're very protective of Cole, especially since he lost his parents. And he's thinking, should have known someone was going to let the cat out of the bag. And from the announcement, I feel Story stiffen next to me. Story's like, after they leave and they go and walk away, she's like, what was that back there? A couple of old ladies gossiping. No, about your parents. Nothing. Cole, seriously, you lost your parents? Aunt Cindy mentioned this the other day, but I guess I didn't know. I guess the Kringle chaos, I forgot. When did this happen? We're not talking about this. But no buts. We're not friends, so don't try to act like we are by asking about my parents. Let's just get this night over with. The next competition is the fruitcake cook-off, but Max is prodding more information about the kiss because he's heard rumors about it. It's a small town. Of course he's heard rumors about it. Internally, Cole enjoyed it. Like he can't stop thinking about the kiss and how he wanted more, but obviously he's like conflicted because he still feels like he hates her and he plays it off when he's talking to Max. But they run into her at the event and he's like flustered by her presence. There's just, again, that weird flirting tension, hatred, but also like legitimate, oh my God, I think we both liked kissing each other stuff going on. Cole comes in third. Story gets first and she says, how's the view from second? Not bad, he says, pulling his teeth between his lips. Ew, don't be a pervert. You're the one who asked. Yeah, I wasn't talking about my backside. Shame. Stop that. The fake flirting? Why, are you getting confused? No, but you're annoying. I liked you better when you were a grump. This act you're putting on is frankly inappropriate. And they go on this like whole thing. And so it like escalates super quickly after this kiss of like, will they, won't they, right? And so as we go into chapter 17, we're prepping for the next competition, and it is a candy cane making competition. And the candy cane maker in town is a super douche about it and won't teach them. So everybody has to go like an hour away to get special lessons from one of his proteges, because then if they make the candy cane and it sucks, then the guy in town that's judging it can be like, it's not my fault, that guy sucks. I don't know. It's some weird pissing contest that they get stuck in, so they have to drive an hour away. But it's snowing because, again, we're in Colorado in the middle of winter. What do you expect? She's from California, though. Snow freaks her out. She doesn't like driving in the snow. She's not used to it, but she has to. She doesn't really have a choice. She's driving. She's scared. She starts having a panic attack. It snows harder. She pulls off to the side of the road and is like truly and overwhelmingly freaking the out when she hears a knock at her window. It's Cole. Is anybody surprised? He too was heading to the candy cane guy to go and get a lesson. This is where we have that moment of bonding, because Cole's parents died in a car accident because of a snowstorm. And so when he drove up on her car and saw it on the side of the road, he had a little bit of a freaky outy moment of, oh my God, I don't want her to be hurt. Right? Like, we open up into the chapter being a very beautiful, poignant reflection on the complications of grief, overcoming the fear of life in grief in order to continue living on in honor of the people you love, right? It is very well done, and the conversations that are had are incredibly beautiful, and I will go through them and I'll talk through them in a second. But we go from such immature bullshit to such beautiful ideas and expressions of ideas that it makes me so mad, because I would get my hopes up. So he approaches the car and he pulls her out. He drags her into his truck and he says, you shouldn't have been driving in the snow. That's what I told Taryn, but the candy cane class is today, so she made me go. Is that where you're headed? Yes. You should have asked for a ride, Story. I should have asked you after all the fighting that we're doing. Would you have said yes? I would have. Competition is one thing, safety is another. I don't want you getting hurt. You don't? No, I don't. His hand comes to my cheek where he wipes my freshly fallen tear. Oh, and he offers to take her back home. She says, no, I just want to go and do the whole candy cane thing. When we get into Clayton, which is where the candy cane guy is, I'll let Max know about your car and have him arrange for someone to take care of it. Oh, that's okay. I can, call someone. Yeah, and who would that be? Someone. Nice try, he says, and then takes off his jacket and offers it to me. I know you get cold, so would you like this for your legs? You don't need it? No, I'm good. Okay, sure, I'll take it. He hands it to me. I drape it over my chilled legs, grateful for the extra layer. I glance over at him. You're being nice to me. I'm not really a dick, you know. Then why do you act like one? Defense mechanism. From what? He glances in my direction and then focuses back on the road. Nothing. Why don't I believe you? Because you can probably see right through me and that scares me. Hence why I said nothing. Wow. Okay, so he's being really open and honest. This is such a stark contrast from the man I saw the other day at the Fruitcake Festivus. So what changed? That's a heavy statement. He shrugs. Clearly, if I push him too far, he might shut down, so I decide to leave it at that. I like the sight of him, this open, warm side, and I don't want to lose that. And so she says, doesn't seem very strategic to save your competition from a snowstorm. As a matter of fact, it is. If I left you there to freeze to death, then it wouldn't be a competition at all. I'm not one to win because of a forfeit. I want the challenge. Ah, I see. So saving me back there was a selfish motive? He glances at me for a split second. Probably in more ways than one. That's hot. We cut to Cole's perspective, and again, he's reflecting on the whole idea that seeing her on the side of the road and seeing her car on the side of the road was a little triggering for him. It made him drop like all animosity, the pent-up anger, and all he wanted to do was help, to protect and make sure she wasn't scared, that she was okay, and he went into helping mode. And when she continued to cry in my truck, visibly shaking, she broke another wall that I had erected between the two of us, and before I knew it, I was holding her, stroking her hair, wanting to remove all the fear that was taking over her body, because I know that fear. I feel it every time I drive in the snow. It's the way my parents died, driving in a snowstorm nearly 10 years ago. I got that phone call telling me what happened, altering my life forever. And it's times like these that I wish I'd been with my parents and hadn't been left alone. The fear is so strong, so prevalent during the winter that I make sure to drive in the snow. I make sure to practice. I make sure I don't allow the fear to turn me catatonic, because that's what it would do if I allowed it. As they're driving, it's like an hour drive, finally gets the courage to ask, when I first came into town, why were you so upset with me? Did I do something wrong? Was it because my family hadn't visited in 10 years? Was it because you saw how sad Aunt Cindy was? He says no. He tries to play it off, and she's like begging him, like, please tell me what's wrong. Like, I'm overwhelmed. Like, I can see that warm side of you come out, the side that I used to know. Like, that's the boy that I grew up with and that I had a crush on. And it's sad, actually. And so she's like, please tell me. He looks over at her, he sees the genuine concern and realizes like maybe she's not this like cold-hearted bitch that I've like painted her out to be for a decade. Internally, he's thinking all of this, okay? I've secluded myself, I've neglected to participate in activities with the town, I've been hiding in a hole, only coming out at Christmas to spend a few days with the Maxheimers. I've actually been surprised I haven't received a million side eyes from the townsfolk. They must be shocked at my abrupt change in personality, yet they've welcomed me. But seeing Story here again, it's reminding me of all those Christmases when we would build snowmen in our front yards, when we would walk around town, never holding hands but enjoying each other's company while looking at the lights. She'd be freezing and I'd offer her my jacket. She'd ask questions about what it's like to live in a secluded, kitschy town, and I'd reciprocate by asking her what it's like having access to the beach all the time. In a weird way, I've associated Story with Christmas. Whenever I saw her family pull up in the driveway, it felt like the season truly started. And, well, after my parents died and she didn't come to visit anymore, it darkened the season for me, to the point that I didn't celebrate anymore. Couldn't, because there was no joy left for me to celebrate. Please, Cole, tell me what I did. It was the last Christmas you were here. the Christmas I pushed that lady into the river. He says, yes, that Christmas. She starts going on about, that was such a horrible time for me. Like, I pushed her in the thing and it's so embarrassing. And I'm sorry, I must have blacked out after I pushed her into the river and I got so depressed. Like, I'm sorry if I was a bitch, if I said something mean to you. Like, I didn't mean it. I was just so upset about things. And he's like totally silenced, totally catatonic as she's like recounting her freaking out over that Christmas and apologizing. And she's like, Cole, like, talk to me, please. Again, we're such a sad sentiment, right? Such a sad chapter that this chapter alone kind of redeemed. This chapter alone honestly gave this book a star in and of itself, okay? And so he finally tells her, he says, that Christmas Eve, when you talked to me on the porch, you said you hated the town. Oh, I didn't mean that. And that was when my parents went missing. Wait, what? I was out on the porch, hoping to run into you because I was scared, nervous. They couldn't find my parents after a big snowstorm. They were supposed to come back that day, but no one heard from them. When I saw you, I was relieved, but then, oh my God, I went off about the town, about how it was so stupid and how I didn't understand why anyone would want to spend day in and day out celebrating Christmas. Yeah. Cole, oh my God, why didn't you say anything? I was numb. I didn't want to fight with you. I didn't even want to defend the town that was trying to help find my parents. I slipped into another frame of mind. And then the next day, when I wanted to tell you what happened, you weren't there. You had left, and I don't know. I took that as your goodbye. You were done with Kringle. You were done with me. No, I'm sorry. Oh my God, I'm so selfish. I'm so stupid. Cole, I'm so sorry. And then he goes on to say that he promised Aunt Cindy not to tell her. And he says, and she's like, oh my God, like, why would you do that? If I would have known, I would have come back. If I would have known, I would have helped you. Like, if you would have told me, if you would have said anything at any point, I would have came back and I would have talked to you. He says, I told Cindy not to tell you because I was angry with you at the time. I didn't want your sympathy. I just wanted to deal with my new reality on my own. Plus, I knew you were headed to college and I felt like you leaving that Christmas was you starting a new journey. You were done with Kringle and I needed to accept that. I would have come back if I'd known. And that's exactly why I made her promise. You were into this town, this life, and I didn't want your pity. It was just meant to be that way. And when you came back, I treated you like shit. I'm sorry. I was surprised. I didn't know how to handle my feelings. I acted childishly. I'm sorry, Story. Don't be. You had every right to act the way that you did. Losing my parents doesn't give me the privilege of being an asshole. Okay, but like, you were? I'm on page 250. We got to 52% of the way through before we like acknowledge this miscommunication trope thing. Oh my God. I feel like I just wasted so much of my life. Why couldn't we have done all of that in like 100 pages? I just don't get it. Hi, it's a new day. New day, new review. New day, review part 2. So after he acknowledges is like, hey, I shouldn't have been a D-bag to you, they catch up and they're like, okay, so then what have you been up to for the last 10 years? Like, let's chit chat. You know, we find out about her going to college and doing the whole editing gig. And then he's just been taking care of the reindeer at Evergreen Farm. And he's a little embarrassed about it, saying, plan on going to college, but I was only 18 when my parents passed and I couldn't leave the house. The town rallied around me. The Maxheimers took me in Maxheimers took me in, and I found comfort in being there, the place I grew up. I found comfort in seeing my parents and all the places around town. Memories of them walking around Ornament Park or having dinner at the Caroling Cafe or going out for ice cream at the Polar Freeze. There were moments I didn't want to forget, so I dropped out of college, completing only 1 semester, and the Maxheimers gave me a job working on the farm. Max's dad taught me everything I needed to know about the reindeer. Then I did my own research, and, well, it just became my thing. I know it's not much, but I find peace in it. Why are you saying it's not much? Because I take care of reindeer. So? I think it makes you more human. It shows the kind of soul you have. I like it. Yeah? Yeah, I do. Oh. So then they're like, okay, so what does this mean for us? We don't hate each other anymore. Are we going to like continue fake dating? Are we going to actually date? Are we going to keep acting like we hate each other? Like, what's the vibe here? And she's like, okay, like, let's continue to hate each other. She doesn't want Taryn to know that they're friends now. And because then Taryn will think that she isn't taking the competition seriously. So she's like, we can pretend to date in front of the town. So that way it's like, you know, we're giving the people of Kringle what they want. But we will pretend to hate each other in front of my sister and Aunt Cindy so that they think I'm taking the competition seriously. It's like the weirdest fake dating thing I've ever witnessed. But they come to that agreement, and he drops her off at her house, and there's a little bit of tension when she gets out of the truck because like she kind of wants him to make a move, and he kind of wants her to make a move, or at least like let him know that making a move is appropriate, but they don't talk because, drumroll please, miscommunication trope. We can talk about feelings all we want, but not when it fucking matters. So he goes home, and he's a little heartbroken about this, and she's a little bereft was the word that they used about him not making a move on her. And he's texting Max, and he's admitting his feelings to Max and how upset he is about them not making a move, but he's happy that they finally worked this out, and there's like, you know, the crush is rekindling, and it's like in full-fledged crush zone now. It's very cute. I love the man friend dynamic and actually talking about feelings. I truly, genuinely love that. And in the middle of texting Cole, Story comes over with some hot chocolate and a blanket to spend time with him. He's like, oh, what are you doing? And she's like, I saw you out here, and I thought things were weird when we left the truck. I didn't want it to be weird. It's not weird. Yes, it is. Sometimes I feel like I don't know how to act around you because you make me nervous. I make you nervous? How the hell does that work? You just do. You always have. You're going to have to explain yourself because if anything, you make me nervous. Oh, please, Cole. You know that's not true. It is. Sure, maybe when we were under the age of 10, you were just a girl who came to visit Cindy during Christmas time, but when puberty hit, that changed things. You were the pretty girl I wanted to talk to who happened to visit Cindy. And you were the handsome guy with the broad shoulders and... This is so cute. Sorry. This is cute. And I love friends to lovers. And I love, like, this is the instance of, like, childhood best friends falling in love later that I don't find creepy because there's no, like, they were never treated as siblings. They never, like, grew up together in that sense. It was just, like, that once a year visiting, always yearning thing through life that then, like, rekindling as adults is just, like, chef's kiss. This is so cute. I genuinely... Anyway. And you were the handsome guy with the broad shoulders and grin that lived next door to Aunt Cindy, the one that I'd try to steal glances of whenever I was in town. And on the best occasions, you were the one who helped me escape from the insanity of my parents during holidays by sitting on this very porch, talking about nothing important. You were the girl from California who was way out of my league, who is still out of my league. You were the boy who set the standard, a standard no one else has yet to match. So yes, I get nervous around you. Oh, and then they go on this whole back and forth and catching up about the holidays. But then it goes to a very discussing their life and when the last time was that they had intercourse with other people. And obviously they use the F-bomb. And she says, gird your loins, ladies, because the way that Cole says is the most gratifying sound ever. Gird your loins? Okay. So that kind of killed it for me. They continue to talk about doing stuff in cars and wanting to do stuff together. And she ends up, like, getting on his lap. And they're, like, kind of making out on his front porch. And asks to go inside. Like, she wants this to escalate to the next thing. But he says, I can't. He winces. Yeah, you don't want to go in my house. Why not? It's not ready for company. Are you messy? Something like that. Plus, what if Taryn comes looking for you? He says, okay, like, will you walk me to my house then? And he does, and they have one more kiss goodnight, and it's very, very cute. In chapter 20, Cole goes straight to Max's family farm to pick out a Christmas tree to decorate because this discussion with Story is really making him want to celebrate Christmas again. He's getting back in the Christmas spirit. He's starting to feel joy and hope and whatnot. So Max is uber confused, but he's very supportive of this effort. Max is kind of grilling Cole about liking her and the crush and what happens next. And so he says, right, so what happens when she leaves? Well, you could follow her. I shake my head. No, I couldn't. I can't leave Kringle. If you're worried about me, I can handle my own. I might cry into my pillow every night knowing my best friend left me for his lady friend, but I'll survive. Don't be an idiot. I can't leave here because this is where I feel my parents the most. I feel their presence, and I can't leave the house. That's all I have left of them. Is it, though? You have sheets covering the furniture so it doesn't collect dust. You still live in the finished attic because it was your teenage bedroom. You don't even open the door to your parents' room, and you haven't unboxed Christmas decorations in 10 years, not since my mom and I put them away for you. I love you, man, but you haven't really been living. You've just been shuffling through the day-to-day. Oh. He says, I know, and I'm trying. Doing this competition, seeing her again, I don't know. It's making me feel like I don't have to hide all the time, that I don't need to avoid the holiday. But what if I put myself out there and she leaves? Valid concern. And if she does, then we look at it as maybe she was brought here to get you out of your funk. Maybe you needed the blast from the past to shake you free of the weight that you've been carrying and the weight of your parents' death. Oh my God. So then they go and find a tree together. It's so cute. But also, guys, I told you, all it takes to cure depression, years of grief, anxiety, horrible things that you've been going through for 10 years is just finding a hot babe to do stuff with. It truly heals any and every ailment that you may have. That is all that I have learned from these romance books. Crazy. So they go home. He goes home with his Christmas tree that he has picked out, and Taryn and Cindy and Story are outside at the car with a bunch of suitcases, and his heart immediately drops thinking that she's leaving already. It's not the case. Taryn and Cindy are just going to the city for an overnight doctor's appointment, and Story is staying back. Awfully convenient for them. And so he asks Story to help him decorate for Christmas and to come over to his house. That I don't know, I guess he slept on it and he was like, okay, like this, it is what it is. Like, has her come over. Right when they're about to go inside, as I move to my front door, nerves start to inch up his spine. She must notice because she places her hand on my back. I won't judge you, Cole. Thank you, I reply as I open the door, letting her into the first floor that has gone completely untouched and unseen by anyone besides Max and myself. To the left is the dining room that's covered in white linen, a place where we used to have fancy meals, as Mom used to call them, has been vacant for quite some time. I can't remember what it's like to hear silverware clatter against fine bone china, or my father's boisterous laugh as he sipped on bourbon after a 3-course meal. To the right is the living room with the fireplace, couch, and 2 wingback chairs where I used to sit and chat with my dad about the upcoming foghorns season. The chairs are covered in sheets. The couch is not, because the couch is where I sit and stare at the fireplace. I covered everything so that it wouldn't get dusty or sun damage, since the rays are stronger here. You don't have to explain yourself. So then he walks her through the house and gives her a little tour, and she's just like, in looking at all the family photos and being like, oh, I know that boy. I remember this boy. I remember all these versions of you, Cole. I remember this haircut. God, I thought you were so cute. It's so it is genuinely so freaking cute. And so then in chapter 21, it's a continuation of going through the house and looking at all these different things. And it's very heavy flirting and talking about all the decorations and, pulling things from storage and unpacking it. And he's giving her the memories and the stories behind each of these items. And genuinely, it is so wholesome and so cute, and I love it. And so at the end of the chapter, when they inevitably end up doing it, I'm fine. We got 61% of the way through. On page 300 is when they do it. You want to talk about a fucking slow burn? This is the epitome of it. But again, I'm kind of semi-infuriated that they could have had this in chapter 10 rather than chapter 23 if we would have just resolved the whole miscommunication trope thing so much sooner. There was no reason for any of that to be happening. And that part pisses me off so freaking much, but the story itself is good. Does that make sense? It's just dragged on for no reason. Anyway, they just end up doing it. And then in chapter 22, after the spice scene in the living room, they go up to his bedroom. And there's another spice scene up there, but there is something that I wanted to point out. So they're about to go into his bedroom. What's wrong? It's just, this is my bedroom from when I was a teenager, and, well, I haven't changed anything. Ooh, so I finally get to see your bedroom in the same state it was when I started wondering what it was like. You wondered what my bedroom was like? Yeah, Cole, all the time. Well, not one thing has changed, and now that I'm much older, it feels kind of stupid bringing you up here. I just want you to be prepared. Cole, You never need to worry about me judging you, okay? People move at their own pace when faced with grief, and if keeping everything in your house the way it was before your parents passed was what you needed to do, well, that's your way of dealing with your pain. There's nothing to judge, I promise. So they go inside of his bedroom, and a picture of Miss Piggy from the Muppets sitting on the beach, like in a bikini. And there's some weird banter about that if he's ever, like, yoinked it to the fucking poster. And apparently Cole. Who are we talking about? His buddy. Max? Yeah, Max is the friend. Sorry, I just had a fucking stroke. Max put the poster up in his room as a joke when he went to college, and then he just never took it down. So it was just kind of like a hee-hee-ha-ha thing. She makes the joke about him yoinking it to the poster. He's like, I can take it down if you want. Like, yeah, if we can at least, like, turn it around or something. I don't want her staring at us. He pulls it down, and there's a hole in the wall. He had punched a hole in the wall when he was in high school after, like, his high school girlfriend got in a fight with him or something, which is such a weird thing to include in the book. He acknowledges, like, oh yeah, like, I didn't know how to control my emotions then. Like, I was, like, an angry person. Like, I got it under control now. Like, I grew up. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. I'm glad we can acknowledge that, and maybe that's the point of bringing it up. But also, there's plenty of examples later on in the book where he has not grown emotionally, and learning that he punched a wall actually genuinely concerned me. So I'll bring it up later. This will come up again in my commentary. But anyway, he punched a wall. She's like, they kind of move on from it, and then they end up doing it again. Afterward, I chuckle and rested my head against his shoulder as his bulky arms wrapped around me. I can assume that our friendship has effectively changed. Changed the second that you sat on my lap on the porch. No, it changed when you parted your mouth under the mistletoe. I thought we were still enemies then, not friends. We were always friends, just had a dispute. 10 years apart is quite the dispute. Let's just call it a miscommunication trope and move on. What the hell are you talking about? He asks. Never mind, I say, and I lay my head back down. I hate this. I hate the self-awareness. I thought I would like it. I thought it would make everything okay. I'm like shade. I'm frothing at the mouth. I hate it here. I thought that the self-awareness and, like, acknowledgement stuff would make me feel okay with the miscommunication and with, like, any stupid shit that happened, but it just pisses me off more. Turns out. Shocker, Kaylee's angry. Oh my god, that was only chapter 22. Jesus Christ, chapter 23. It is literally just a chapter of them, like, texting because they can't be together because they're still trying to, like, not show anything to Taryn, and so it ends up being kind of weird. So it's just them flirting, and I skipped it, and I'm skipping it now. I refuse to partake in this nonsense. Chapter 24, it's time for the next competition, the Candy Cane Showdown. It's chaotic. It's fun. They ham it up in front of the judges, and they hate each other in front of Taryn. He helps her when she isn't strong enough to pull the sugar. She gets a point deducted for this and lands in third place. And then he gets second, and then Jimmy gets first. In chapter 25, Cole takes her on a date to the farm. Part of hamming it up in front of the audience in the last chapter was them talking about going on another date. So they go to the farm. She learns more about how much he enjoys his work and takes pride in it, and they end up doing it in his office. There is a spice scene where a candy cane is involved in such a way that, like, you just know she had a yeast infection after. Like, I refuse to believe any other way that ended other than a fucking trip for some antibiotics. You know what I'm saying? Jesus Christ. Dude, it's just pages. I'm just flicking through. I know you can't see my hand, but I'm just, like, flicking through it to get through that scene. There was a lot of stuff done with that candy cane. God bless. Ew. Yeah, just more candy cane. More candy cane. In chapter 26, the next competition is a musical performance. And Max says, hey dude, I have an idea. What is it? He lets out a deep sigh, reaches into his bag, and pulls out a picture frame. He doesn't show me what's inside. Instead, he says, before you say no, I don't want you to think this is for anything or anyone but you. He turns the frame around. It's displaying a picture of my parents and me in front of Evergreen Farm when I was maybe 10. We're all wearing matching flannel shirts like the ones Max purchased. I think it would be a nice tribute. Oh, I'll wear the beard, man. You can wear the Santa hat and the necklace to, like, match his mom and dad in the photo. It's very cute. And he's like, you know, reflects more on that moment with his parents and that whole family outing and how cute that it was and how much that he misses them. And then we cut to Story and what she's doing for the performance. And her, Taryn, and Aunt Cindy are going to be doing like a recreation of the Mean Girls Christmas performance scene. If you know, you know. It's cute. Everybody laughs. Everyone's having a good time. And so Story leaves that and she's like, I know that we're going to win. We did so good. Max and Cole go up to the stage and Cole performs, and behind them they were able to get the projector to work so that it's his like family photo behind him as he's singing Blue Christmas. Not a dry eye in the house for this dedication to his family. So obviously he gets first for that competition. Jimmy got second place for doing a crazy rock guitar solo thing that went really well. And then she got third yet again. When Taryn sees Story crying over Cole's performance, she gets pissed off. And then Cole comes over and kisses her. And Taryn's like, what the fuck, dude? And he's like, I gotta kiss my girl, it's for the show. And Taryn's starting to get some like weird resentment over this whole situation and being like, you're not taking this seriously, Story. Like, oh my God, this is BS. Just very tension is brewing between the sisters, okay? In chapter 27, Story sneaks over to Cole's house that night. They have some more nostalgic talks about growing up and their families, and it's cute. And then there's a spice scene, and it ends with her talking about her parents. He's like, why are your parents not here? And she says, they have a timeshare in Cancun that they visit during the holidays. They've become accustomed to Christmas on the beach, decorating a palm tree with ornaments and being able to get a nice holiday tan. I wonder what that's like. I don't think that's something I'd want to experience. I've just always seen Christmas as a time when you cozy up in front of a fireplace under a blanket with some hot chocolate. Same. Like this right here, this moment with you, it's ideal. And I truly hate that I stayed away for so long. I love everything about this, about being here, about feeling the spirit of the season. I never want to leave. And that leads them into talking about more town gossip and whatnot. It's really and then spice. How many times is the word feral used in this? Sorry, I feel like I've seen it a lot just since I've started talking tonight. Feral is used 6 times since we've started this. So in the last 3 chapters, feral has been used 6 times. No wonder I clocked that. Good God. Anyway, chapter 28, Story tries to sneak back into the house before the others wake up, but Taryn finds her. She's able to play it off, and she's like, oh yeah, I was just seeing how much snow there was outside. And then Taryn brings up that they'll be leaving soon. Oh, we are? I mean, okay. How do I want to delineate these voices? Oh, we are? Yeah, I mean, you saw Cindy up on stage. Not sure how much care she's going to need after Christmas, and I already spoke with Martha and May about helping her out with meals. Huh. I guess I just assumed that we'd stay longer, maybe through the new year at least. Well, I have a job to get back to, don't you? I mean, I brought my computer with me so I could work from anywhere. I just fear that if we leave too early and she tries to do something, she might hurt herself. I think she'll be fine, Taryn says without a worry in her voice. Why do you want to stay longer? I thought that you didn't care for being here. I don't know, it's growing. It's grown on me. It has? That's surprising. Why is that surprising? Maybe because the entire drive up here you were bitching about having to go live in Kringle for a few weeks. Well, I guess my mind was changed. Taryn's like, you're dating Cole. Just f***ing admit it. You got feelings for him. That's why you want to stay. She's like, that's not what it is. Yes, it is. You're lying to me. They have this entire freaking argument about this. And it turns into Story saying, no, it's not Cole. It's just that, I'm finally feeling happy here. And, I've been feeling low for such a long time that this actually feels good for once. And then the sisters have more of a conversation, realizing how distant that they have grown. Their relationship has truly not been very close for a couple of years. Taryn's been too busy doing her own thing and not reaching out to Story and vice versa. And it's just a moment of them realizing how far that they've drifted apart. Cut to Cole's perspective, and what are we doing here? Cole picks up Story to go on one of their dates, and they're going into town to go to one of the Mercantile, the unique gift shop places in town to pick up a few gifts for everyone in their lives. Cue more cute banter. cue a bunch of gossip about town, and we find out that Jimmy, the guy that's in second right now, is trying to win the Kringle title to win his ex-wife back. That she's been like in the front row for all of their competitions and has been like very invested in cheering him on, and it's cute. There's like a little slub a little sub love plot. That's what I was trying to say. Good Lord. After the shopping trip and all this gossip and whatnot, they go back home and everybody's practicing for the next competition, the Super Santa Speed Round. Not only does this include your present wrapping, your ability to create a joyous Christmas card, and stocking making capabilities, but they also look into how clean your workspace is, even the way that you hold your scissors and smile while creating these masterpieces. They have eagle eyes and watch every little thing, especially the whatever family that's judging it. Okay, so lots of practice, very uptight. Taryn is starting to get very freaky outy about taking this incredibly seriously, and she's driving Story crazy about it. And then in chapter 29, that continues to get, there's a lot of bickering between the two sisters. It's just getting worse and worse until Cindy tries to calm down the situation by having everybody compliment each other, which is very cute. And then we cut to Cole's perspective within the chapter, and he and the narrator have an argument. So I will just read this from the top. Narrator: he can't keep his eyes off her. She's much too pretty, but everyone can see it, even the judging committee. Will it make him lose? Will he forget how to sew? Will he only think about how well she grips his penis and can blow? Come on, can you not right now? I'm trying to focus, says the man who keeps looking over at Story with hearts in his eyes. That's because this is a romance. Am I supposed to look at her like she's a piece of trash hanging out of a dumpster? Don't you get mouthy with me. I have control over your pants, and I have no problem splitting them so your dilly dong falls out because, oops, I forgot to put underwear on you. Jesus Christ. Lucky for you, I'm allowing you to wear a thong today, so when you bend over, everyone sees your choice of underwear. No. Too late. On with the story. Dude, are you wearing a thong? Max asks as I stand from picking up a piece of construction paper I accidentally dropped on the floor. What the hell is this? And then Max lifts his shirt and there's a thong. And he's like, oh, Story dared me to wear it and I wore it for like hee hee ha ha fun time or whatever. What the is happening? This is when I was listening to this on like the audio. I had the audio going while I was doing other stuff and I had to pause it and I said, hold on. To come over, I had to replay it. I was like, there's no fucking way. There's no fucking way I heard that. I did. I heard it right. So yeah, he's wearing a fucking thong. We go on with the event. The narrator has a huge chunk where they summarize the event. I'll go ahead and read it because I haven't been reading the narrator pieces. I've been skipping them quite a bit, actually. And so the contest began. The Kringlese running around. Jimmy with the wrapping paper. Ursula with her frown. They cut and they taped and they cut. Cole stealing glances of Story's round butt. Beatrice sneezed and Jimmy said, bless you, while Ursula haphazardly stuck her hair with the glue. There were ribbons and holly and Christmassy junk, while the crowd in the middle got very, very drunk. Bob Krampus called out, and the time was halfway done, and now for the dreaded stocking-y fun. The fabric was thrown, the thread tumbled to the floor, they pasted, they sewed, they ironed some more. Time's a-tickin', but did that stop them? No, they simply said, we don't have time to sew, we'll simply just glue instead. Ursula and the doctor used glue like they were pros. Jimmy stood bewildered, just scratching his nose. Story and Cole, they stuck with the thread, even though Story's stocking began to shred. Hands up, Bob said. His voice boomed through the air. They threw up their hands and hoped with a prayer. Their stocking was lacking. The cards were askew. Beatrice skipped red and green and opted for blue. Who did it? Who won? Who proved to be the best? Cindy bounced for results in her Christmassy vest. Again, committed to the bit. I admire the shit out of Meghan for this. this alone, I can only imagine how long the like writing and rhyming and doing all that stuff took. I applaud her for that. Truly and honestly. The Story comes in third again. Cole comes in second, and Jimmy comes in first because Cole and Story were looking at each other and made some like little minor mistakes and stuff that they got docked for. We cut to chapter 30. It's Christmas Eve, and per tradition, Cole is spending the night at Max's house, and they're talking about the competition. And Cole is talking about how sad that Story is that she's been losing and it's really getting to her, and he doesn't even care about being the Kringle anymore. Like, he just did it so that she wouldn't win, but now he kind of wants her to win, and so he's not thinking about throwing the competition, but kind of throwing the competition. Max is like, hey, like, what if this is all a ploy and she's just pretending to be upset so that you'll drop out or something, like, so that she can win? Cole is like, dude, she's not doing that. I know you want to think that. I'm just watching out for you, okay? I appreciate that, but Story wouldn't hurt me like that, betray me like that. I know her. I felt the way she is around me. I can tell when someone's using me and when someone's actually when when someone likes me. Were you gonna say love? I don't know, maybe. Just trust me on this, okay? Story's not using me. She's just upset that she's been struggling on the last few competition, and she's under a lot of pressure from her Aunt Cindy and Taryn. Okay, but you know Cindy. I think that she would do whatever it takes to win. She'd been desperate for the title. She could be pulling the strings. But then we get our one and only Taryn POV. Yes, Taryn. I stare up at the ceiling, my mind racing, my heart pounding, the thought of betrayal passing through me. How could she? Is this why she's been slacking? Getting third in the last few competitions because of him? To say I was surprised when I saw her being pulled behind a tree in the gym was an understatement. But when I saw who it was, anger reached its tipping point. So after the competition, she was really sad, and so, like, Cole had pulled her behind a tree outside of the gymnasium to, like, make out with her and make her feel better. Taryn witnessed it. Taryn was like, oh, you fucking bitch. It's supposed to be a farce. They were supposed to be faking it, but from what I saw, Story was fully immersed and happy in his arms. And I should have known, because all the signs were there. The way that she watched him on that stage when he thrust his pelvis at the audience, she practically drooled. When she went on that date with him, she wasn't as reluctant as she should have been. Not to mention, after the candy cane making, she was gone for a very long time. She claimed a pothole, but what's the truth? And then, oh my God, when I caught her coming back into the house, was she really coming back from checking on the snow? Or was she coming back in after spending the night next door? I sit up in bed, remembering the footprints in the snow leading from Aunt Cindy's to his. The bruise on her neck, that was a fucking hickey. I pound my fist into the pillow, all the strolls into town, all that wasted time. She must have been spending it with him. Of course that's what she was doing. How could I have been so dumb, so naive? And they've been seeing each other, and I pause, my mind racing some more. Hold on. He's in first place. Contest after contest, he's been getting better and better, running away with the points and making it pretty damn hard for anyone to catch up to him. And how convenient that his biggest competition has slowly been taking the fall when she started in first. I reach for my notebook on my nightstand and I flip through the notes that I've been taking. It was right after the fruitcake festivus that things started to go downhill. The next competition was the candy cane making, and that's when she fell to third. He helped her in that competition. Why would he do that if he wasn't trying to prove something, trying to sabotage her? He knew that she would lose points for getting help from another competitor, and she did, but she looked grateful, happy that he was there to help her. From there, she never edged past third, and that's when she started to disappear more. That's when they were spending more time together. I throw my legs over the side of the bed as I grip my forehead. How could I have been so dumb? How could I have let this happen? He took advantage of her. He must have known that she crushed on him back when we were young and used that to his advantage, and he wasn't even shy about the way that he used her. He said the fake relationship was for the town and would help both of them in the competition, but somewhere along the way he kept it fake, and she fell for him. I stand from the bed now and I go to the window where I open the curtain and I stare at his house covered in those garish green lights. How dare he? How dare he mess with her? How dare he mess with Aunt Cindy's chances at the title? I can't allow that to happen. Something needs to be done, and I know exactly what to do. Jesus, this fucking psycho bitch. So the narrator, she strapped on her boots and her coat colored in tan, with one thing in mind: I will destroy this man. Then she loaded up her pockets with a hammer and pliers and took to his house, ready to mess with his wires. She pounced through the snow, empty bags in her fist. He'll regret ever messing with her, she hissed. Then she propped up a ladder, alone in the dark. In the distance, a rowdy dog let out an ear-splitting bark. She froze and waited, and when the coast was clear, she ascended the house to remove all the Christmas cheer. She snaked and she snuck with a smirk quite unpleasant around the whole roof and took every twinkle light present. A pop and a flop, the wires tumbled to the ground. Payback was served, and oh joy, she quickly found. Then she slunk to the porch. She took every bulb and every light. She took every Christmas decoration purely out of spite. She laughed. How stupid is he going to feel when he sees that what I was able to steal? She took every decoration and she took it in a flash and then walked up to the garage and threw it in the trash. In the morning when they wake, I'll know just what they'll do. The brohards on Whistler Lane will cry boo-hoo. She dusted off her hands and headed back into the house, while every Kringle in Kringletown slept, even the street mouse. What? So in chapter 31, Max and Cole drive home, and they see that the house is totally dark. They see the footprints in the snow, and they see it literally just from his house to Cindy's house, and they know that it was Story. They're like, oh my God, there's no way. Cole, it has to be. But why? There's no reason. Except that this will guarantee you last place in the light display, and they know how close you are to winning the whole thing. Because remember, on Christmas Eve is when they do the second judging of the light displays. So like they have the first one, you get your initial points, and then based on your improvements, you get additional points for that. And so if they fuck up his lights and he doesn't get any points, or he like gets in last place, his whole thing's getting screwed. Oh my God. Like maybe it was Jimmy, maybe it was somebody else, and Max says, look at the footprints, man. That's all the evidence you need, and there isn't a footprint leading from the sidewalk to Cindy's house either, in case someone was trying to frame them. This was Story. Remember what she did with the lights last time? This was all Story. I thought she liked me, but this? I guess I was completely wrong. I guess she was just pretending, just using me the entire time. I swallow back my emotion, trying to find a place within me where I don't care, where I don't mind that she just about ripped my heart out in one night, but it's hard and I don't handle my emotions well. My anger, the grief in my life, and before I can stop myself, I storm up to the pink house, Max falling behind me. I pound on the front door with my fist and wait. She answers the door. She's like, what's going on? He's like, I can't believe you do this to me. And she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. She's like, I don't know what's going on. Back and forth. The fucking lights, I shout, startling her backwards. Don't play dumb with me. You took them down last night because you were so fucking scared you weren't gonna win. You snuck out and stole them. You fucking used me this whole time. Faked it, made me believe there was something between us, only to sabotage me in the end? Who the fuck does that? What kind of heartless human are you? Oh my God. So then he just keeps yelling. He tries to storm away, and she's like, hey, hold on. And he yells again, and he's like, stop. Tear my arm away from her and stomp toward the steps. Just fucking stop. I can't be near you. Just yelling. And I'm like, hey. Why you gotta tell me about him punching a wall? Why you gotta tell me about him having anger issues as a teenager? Oh yeah, I'm in control of my emotions now. I'm not that guy anymore. I don't know, man. I think you might be. I was really scared. I didn't like that. I don't like that feeling. We're at 94% of the book. I read 446 pages rooting for this dude. That's debatable, but still, I wasn't afraid of this man until that point, and I said, oh, we could have done without that, without either of those scenes. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I'm just being a little picky beezy, but I'm super sensitive to that stuff. Cut to Story's perspective, and she's just standing there, confused, hurt, no idea what's going on. And she's like, I can't believe that he would even think that I would use him. Aunt Cindy comes in and she's like, I heard yelling. And Taryn runs down the stairs and she's like, I heard yelling. Like, what's happening? And so she tries to tell them, but she's like, I don't really know. He was just yelling at me. Aunt Cindy and Taryn are like, oh my God, like, why are you crying? Like, she's unconsolable over being yelled at and over this whole situation. And they're like, why does this matter to you? She's like, I think I love him. What? Taryn nearly shouts and shakes her head. Story, I know he was playing you, but you can't possibly... Playing me? What are you talking about? I know it's going to be hard to understand given the state that you're in, but he really didn't like you. The whole relationship thing, it was a distraction so he could take the lead. So he could take the lead in the Kringle competition, and I don't blame... This isn't about the stupid competition. This is about me and Cole. We've been seeing each other. They have more back and forth. Taryn's like, Story, it was all pretend for him. It wasn't. It was real. Everything about it was real. No, Story, he took advantage of the crush that you've had on him for years. No, Taryn, he didn't. I know what I experienced with him these past weeks. I saw the pain in his eyes when he came over here blaming me for what happened to his house. What happened to his house? Aunt Cindy, I don't know how to do old lady voices, I'm sorry. What happened to his house? Aunt Cindy asks. I'm about to answer when Taryn says, I took down his lights. You did? You were the one who took down the lights? Yes, I was. I did it for you. And then it turns into this entire thing of like the sisters yelling at each other and her being like, what the why would you do that? She tries to run outside to catch Cole, and he and Max are just driving away. Like, they see her, acknowledge it, continue to back out of the driveway and leave. So she storms over to the nosy twins' house, Martha and May. I haven't really said their names because they don't really matter. The nosy old ladies next door. Storms over to their house, banging on the door until they answer, and she says, I need your help. With what? With Cole's house. It's a long story, but I need help putting his lights back up, and we need to do it before Paula and Peach come around for the final judging tonight. Why are his lights down? Please, Martha, please, don't ask questions. Please just help me. I need you to go round up everyone that you can. We need to put the lights back up. Please, Martha. Okay, dear, okay. We'll get the lights back up. You can count on me. All old ladies are Southern and got shaky voices. I don't know what you want. So in chapter 32, Cole is staying in the reindeer. He had Max take him to the reindeer barn, and he's just chilling with a reindeer named Carla, I think. Just trying to find some peace and quiet and be away from everyone. And he is spiraling, right? Like, he truly felt hope. He was happy. He felt like his house was finally a home again. He was starting to love the Christmas season and feel just hope and joy and looking forward to the future. And he can't go home because it would hurt too much. Like, it would hurt him far too much. And he's thinking to himself, who the fuck did I think I was coming into this Christmas season thinking I could rekindle the same sense of joy I used to feel back when my parents were alive? It was stupid and naive and a mistake I won't make again. Nope, my house will remain dark now because I'm retreating to what I know best. Become that recluse ignoring the holiday season and enveloping myself in rage-filled anger. And then we cut back to Story's perspective, and the whole town came together to help decorate his house. And as she's getting ready, she's about to leave, and Aunt Cindy stops her. And she's like, I don't have time for this, Cindy. Like, I gotta go help with this. You'll make time for this. She points to the living room, and I know there's no way that I can say no. So I let Aunt Cindy lead the way, and lead the way she does. Not a hitch in her step, not an ounce of pain in her posture. Why are you walking so well? That's what I need to talk to you about. Please, sit down. Taryn's there as well. I'm afraid I haven't been as truthful with you as I should have. You see, back in the summer this year, I had a conversation with your mother, and she was concerned. Concerned about what? About you two. She sensed that you were drifting further apart with each passing year and worried that if we didn't intervene, that you might lose touch just like I did with my sister. Like your mom and her own mother. So we've devised a plan. Please don't tell me that your hip was never broken, Taryn says. Unfortunately, that's the case. What? So she did. She straight up lied to them to con them to be there. She never had a hip. So then my thing is like, girl, the whole joke, I don't know if I said it earlier, but like, Taryn was treating her like a nurse. She was giving her like sponge baths. And they talked about her crevices a lot in this book. I believe crevice was used 10 times. Sponge bath was brought up 3 times. So I'm like, what? That just seems like a little too far to take that. But that's okay, I guess. Ugh. I can't believe you lied to us. Hell, I can't believe I didn't realize. Taryn rubs both her eyes with her palms. More like fib to bring you together, to bring us all together. I also felt like I was losing you too. You hadn't visited in quite some time, and well, I'm an old lady now. And sure, I'm active in the community and I have a lot going on, but it doesn't compare to the memories of you girls visiting me during this time. I missed this, and I feel like getting you to come called for drastic measures. So I went for it, and I'm sorry I deceived you. I'm also not sorry. I got to spend the holiday season with my girls. I got to relive some of my best memories and witness how you both have grown into your personalities. I got to watch you work together in Story. From a distance, I got to see you reconnect with a boy I always thought you belonged with. You would force me to wash your crevices again? Taryn asks, breaking the tension. I would. I love you two very much, and I want you to remember you might have your own paths in life, but that should never derail you from the path we take as a family. If you get lost along the way, we're always here to help you find your way back. Okay, cool. So then they all go outside to help finish the lights and decorations. We cut back to Cole. Max is picking him up, and Max is like, hey, dude, I know you want to be left alone, but my mom said I have to get you, and you can't be here alone on Christmas Eve. You have to come spend time with my family. If you say no, then my mom and dad are going to come up here and drag you away, and it's going to be a whole thing. So he reluctantly gets in the car, and then Max drives past the house, and Cole's like, WTF, man? And Max is like, oh, sorry, I have to run to the mercantile. I have to run to the store. And then he drives past the stores. He's like, what the hell, man? Shh. He says, and I hear something in the distance. Narrator. What he heard, it wasn't sad. Well, this noise was quite merry. It sounded like people, lots of people making him wary. He stared down Whistler Lane and Cole widened his eyes. Then he blinked, for what he saw was a stunning surprise. Up ahead, on the right, was his house lit green, and the brightest house of all houses he had ever seen. And one by one, along the cul-de-sac, they stood hand in hand, the loving people of Kringle, next to a large marching band. And they sang, and they cheered, and they stood in Christmas glory. And right in the middle of it all, the girl of his heart, his very own Story. And he puzzled and thought, he puzzled some more. Then Cole thought of something he hadn't thought of before. Maybe Story, he thought. Maybe I judged her all wrong. Maybe she is the one with whom I truly belong. And Max is like, hey, dude, it was Taryn. Like, Taryn's the one that did it. Like, go get her, man. Oh. So then he does. He runs out and he goes and gets this girl. And then what happened in Kringle, they would say, was that Cole's black heart grew 3 sizes that day. In that moment, Cole's heart didn't pulse quite so tight. He grabbed Story at the waist and kissed her under the green light. And then they say, I love you. And they have this whole thing in front of the whole town and the band. And they say they love each other. And they decided that night they didn't care in the least about the competition, but rather enjoyed a chicken parm feast. You cut to the epilogue. The narrator. Did you notice how I came full circle with the chicken parm feast? Clever, right? Are you really going to try to get me to boost your ego? This is Cole's perspective. You've been a complaining ass the whole time. It wouldn't hurt you to throw me a little love. I am what you made me. Uh-huh. Okay, want to play it that way? I can go back and make it so Story has a hard time finding your erection. Are you really going to act like a child? You just finished a book. I did, and it wouldn't kill you to congratulate me. Congratulations. Thank you for letting me end up with Story. That's more like it. Now, how about a little recap for the readers so they know how well Story and I are doing? I can arrange that. How about we start it with a year later? Sure, but what about who won the competition and what the present was that Story got me? You act as if I've never done this before. Watch and learn. Careful. You have to unwrap baby Jesus carefully, Story says from where she's sitting on the couch nursing our baby girl, Florence, or Flo for short. Hold on. Baby girl? Narrator. Do you really think you could get away with not getting that girl pregnant for the way that you humped her through the story? Just be glad that she didn't give birth to a pineapple-flavored candy cane. Now, back to my epilogue. Jesus Christ. They're decorating the house. They got married. She lives in Cole's house. She lives there full time. Jimmy's the one that won the Kringle contest. And now the next year, Max entered the Kringle contest. Taryn and her boyfriend moved to Kringle town as well so that they could be close to Story and the baby. And they all lived happily ever after. I don't know what you want from me, dude. It wasn't a bad book. It was cute. Again, it was just Hallmark. I don't have any complaints other than, like, especially that last part with the narrator. The narrator stuff is, like, again, it's so self-aware and fourth wall breaking intentionally so that, like, it makes me want to laugh, and it does make me laugh, but it also pisses me off for some reason that I can't really put my finger on. It was a good time. It was fun. For being a Christmas story and for what it is, I'd probably give it, like, a 3. But then it loses a star for 240 pages of miscommunication trope and for cringy scenes. So it's a solid 2, I would say. I'm comfortable with saying that. This was fun. I did not realize it was going to be 470 fucking pages, or I would not have read this. To be frank, that was my bad. If there's any books that you want to see me do a rant review of, please comment them down below. Like, subscribe, become a member if you would like to support the channel. That's a new thing, and I'm so excited. I'm so thankful for you guys. What a blessing this holiday season to have so many of you. This channel has blown up so much, and I'm so beyond grateful. You have no idea. That's really all I have to say. Just, yeah, comment. Let me know what you thought of this book, and let me know if there's anything else that you want to see me review. And I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.